Gaz from Axolotl and Reptile Rescue and Advice UK. Now I thought I'd do a little video, basically the 8 things you should know before getting an axolotl, or the 8 things you should do before getting an axolotl. That might suit it a bit better. So number 1, tank size. So you need to think of where in your house you're going to put a tank. Because with axolotls, water temperature is a very big thing. So you want to keep it cool as possible. So you don't want it near an open window, well, near any window, or a radiator, or in your kitchen or something like that. And once you've found out where in your house you're going to have it, so say your front room, you can measure your gap, you can see what size tank you can get, what filter you need for that tank, etc. And then you can buy that tank. Tank size is important when it comes to what axolotls you're going to put in there, because you don't want to overcrowd, you don't want your water quality to be poor, because all these things can damage your axolotl. So number 2, we'll go straight on to the temperature. So an axolotl doesn't want to be below 10 degrees ever. So if your axolotl does get poorly, you do not ever put it in a fridge. It's a bit of a myth. It's something that you can only do if your axolotl is at death's door and you're taking it to a vet ASAP. It's the only time you can ever do it. Otherwise you don't want your axolotl below 10. Most of ours we try to keep it around about 16. Generally you don't really want it over 18. And over that you can start getting little bits of fungus. We do have a health care guide on our group, so you're welcome to download that and look through it, or if you do get an axolotl and it's a little bit poorly, message me or Tara and we can try and help, or get a vet. Number 3, so once you've done that, once you've got your tank, you need to cycle it. You want to cycle your tank really before you get your axolotl. This is very important. Some people do put the axolotl in and cycle it while they're in there, but to us it's a bit of a no-no. You really want to cycle your tank. If you have got an axolotl and you haven't cycled your tank, you're going to need to keep that axolotl tubbed and do 100% daily water changes. This will keep your axolotl healthy while your tank is cycling. So number 4, water treatment. Actually, sorry, about tank cycling. It can be a bit confusing. We are in the process of making a care guide that we're going to put on the group. I'm also going to do a bit more of an in-depth video on it at a later date. But if you are stuck, drop us a message again and we'll help. There's loads of other fantastic people in the group. Just, you know what I mean, just put a little comment on there. No one's judgmental. They'll help you out. 4, water treatment. So we always recommend Seach and Prime. It looks a little bit costly, but for the amount that you actually use, it's cheap, to be fair. It'll last you donkeys. There is other ones that you can use, but you've got to be careful. A lot of them do use iodine or aloe vera, especially the ones that, like say, stress coat and protect it and stuff like that. A lot of them, they do contain one of these ingredients. Now iodine and aloe vera are poisonous to an axolotl, and you want to steer clear from any ingredients. So if you're not using Seach and Prime and you want to use another one, contact me and Tara and we'll try and figure out if it is safe or not, or you can Google the ingredients. Not necessarily go by the list on the back, because sometimes it doesn't have all the ingredients on. Look, or Google it up, have a look, and then that'll be able to tell you. So another main thing, number 5, another main thing you want to do before you get an axolotl is find an exotic vet. Not many vets are exotic, so a lot of them that look after your dog or cat, they won't necessarily won't see your axolotl. So sometimes we've had people that then have ended up with a poorly axolotl and their local vet that was to see him, it's like 2 hours away. I do want to draw up a map of all exotic vets, and that hopefully could help people out as well. That's going to be a later date as well. Also, join a lot of Facebook groups. Unfortunately, pet shops don't necessarily have the right amount of knowledge on axolotls. Some do, some are fantastic, but some pet shops don't know everything about every animal that is in there. It is a shame, and I reckon someone should know a decent amount about every animal in there, but some are good, some are bad. So like I said, join a lot of Facebook groups. Doesn't matter how stupid you think your question is, just put it down, you'll just get an answer. We try to make sure that there's no judgmental comments or bullying and stuff on there, and if there is, you just report it. Or if you feel like your question is a little bit stupid, just message me or Tara, we'll just answer anything. But yeah, I do recommend joining Facebook groups. we've all had experience as well of looking after these animals, so sometimes the experience is better than just a bit of knowledge of how you think to look after them. So number 6 is food. Find out where you want to get your food from. So if you're getting a baby, by the time you receive it, well, by the time you should receive it, they'll be on bloodworm, preferably live, because at a young age they do go by movement, not by sound, stuff like that. So preferably you want it on live. And when it gets to about 3 inches, you'll be weaning it onto dendrobina, which are earthworms. So when it's like this, you'll be chopping them up when they're at that size, so you can't be a little bit squeamish. I just rip them up with my fingers and put them in. But some people are a little bit squeamish, but this is something you'll have to do if you want to get a young axolotl. Worms don't actually feel pain. I can't remember what it's called, but I do remember watching and reading about it. But apparently they don't have nerve receptors or something like that. So yeah, you need to look where you want to get them from. We do sell them, but some people prefer to get it like from their local tackle shop, or there's Yorkshire Worms, Withers Worms. There's a vast amount of places where you can get it from, Amazon and eBay. Sometimes, if you can find one that's local, we always recommend supporting local businesses first. It's always a good thing. Right, so that's food. So 7, holidays. You want to go on holiday. An axolotl is not an animal that you can buy and then leave at home for a week or 2 weeks while you're on holiday. You'll need to get someone to look after it. Think of an axolotl not like a fish, well, an amphibian, sorry, more like a dog. You wouldn't leave your dog at home for 2 weeks. It's the same kind of rule for an axolotl. You're going to need someone to come around, spot check, preferably if they can, to do the weekly water change, which you need to be doing, which is about 25%, 30% depending. So yeah, you need someone to come around and feed it daily, preferably. They can go a few days without food if it's a desperate sort of measure. But if you can, or if you've got a neighbour, obviously not now with the corona, but what we're going on holiday, I suppose, get them to come round and do that. So, right, so then number 8. So if you're getting babies, some people, this is something you're going to have to think about, some people when they get babies, they get multiple. So you might get 2 babies. Now, normally if you're getting 2, there is a strong possibility, if it's from the same breeder, that they're going to be related. And if they grow up, you can't really tell the gender of the sex of an axolotl until they're about a year old. And if you get a male or female, they're going to breed. And when they breed, they can lay up to 1,500 eggs. And you're going to need to split them up straight away, because they can overbreed the female, and that obviously can make the female very poorly. So if you've got a big enough tank, obviously you can do this with a tank divider, or you'd have to buy another tank, or you'd have to try and rehome one of your axolotls to either a good home or a rescue, something like that. So that is definitely something that you're going to have to look out for. So in my opinion, these are the 8 things that you should know before getting an axolotl. If I have missed something, and I'll remember later, I'll drop it down in the comments, or I'll make a new video. I will do another video soon of things that you need to look out for when you have an axolotl. What I will put on the end of this, actually, a couple of no-nos. No gravel. You don't want gravel in your tank no matter how big your axolotl is. Some people say they've done it and the axolotl's fine, but it only takes ingesting it a couple of times and for it to be jam-packed in there and they're impacted, and you could end up with an expensive vet trip. So no gravel. I also recommend before the 5 or 6 inches, no sand. Because obviously they're smaller. Yes, sand is quite fine, but in a smaller axolotl, it's going to build up just like gravel in a bigger axolotl, so to speak. So that's why we recommend 5-6 inches at least before you even put sand in. But to be fair, if you get a baby, we always say you don't really want to introduce it to your tank until it's about 5 or 6 inches, because when you're weaning it on dendrobina and stuff, it's just easier to do it in a tub. But some people do put it in there earlier, and I suppose that's your preference. But yeah, thanks for watching, like and subscribe, I'll drop another video soon. Stay safe, guys.